and I have the following to say. Number one, in terms of this Senate, there is no party called Orange Democratic Movement. This House only has NASA, Coalition, Jubilee, KANU, Chama cha Mashinani, and one independent member. Those are the entities in this House. Number two, Mr. Speaker, the communication that elected yours truly and Mutula Kilonzo Jr., Senator from Makueni, and Petronila Were, nominated Senator of ANC, and Senator James Orengo of ODM, came from the PG of NASA. And a PG of NASA is not a PG of ODM, and a PG of ODM is not a PG of NASA. Mr. Speaker, NASA is a coalition. Nobody was invited to join NASA. We formed NASA. And I want to tell my colleagues, because, Mr. Speaker, I have had this communication from the chair after being informed an hour before the start of the House that a mischief has been going on behind my back. And I want to say this, Mr. Speaker, if anybody wants a divorce, it will be messy, it will be noisy, and it will not be easy. Because, Mr. Speaker, I want to tell my colleagues in ODM, for avoidance of any confusion, that for the last two presidential elections, we have supported a candidate fronted by ODM. And that is the reason why there are more in both houses than their partner parties. If Kalonzo Musyoka was the presidential candidate, probably Wiper Democratic Movement Party would be having the majority because of the advantages that goes with being a candidate. The same would have happened if Ford Kenya had provided a candidate. The same would have happened if ANC provided a candidate. So I want to tell my colleagues, Mr. Speaker, that let them try to go to NASA, bring the constituent four parties together, and let's see if they'll extract a resolution to bring to this House. Because NASA has ODM, Wiper, ANC, and Ford Kenya. And the leaders of these parties, Raila Amolo Odinga, Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, Wycliffe Musalia Mudavadi, and Moses Masika Wetangula, are an integral part of all the organs of this party. And whenever we hold even PGs, the party leadership attends. I know that since we started this House, a conspiratorial process has been going on with nocturnal meetings taking place. The very least my colleagues can do, Mr. Speaker, is to have even called me to a meeting and told me, as our leader, the following are issues that we have against you and we want to change. Not to go and sit in the comfort of a five-star hotel without members from ANC, Ford Kenya, Wiper, CCM, and then purport to bring minutes to this House, Mr. Speaker. I want, in fact, to urge, Mr. Speaker, the chair, that even that majority of 16 is not a majority in law, because it's not a majority of the coalition. It is a majority of a section in the coalition that has sat without a proper color of right in law. Because ODM is not a member of this House. Members of ODM access this House and have a color of legitimacy by virtue of being members of NASA. So I want to end here, Mr. Speaker, by telling my colleagues that I'm going nowhere, that I'm here, and I will be here because I was not invited to join NASA. I am in NASA as a founder, and I founded code that transitioned to NASA, Mr. Speaker. And if anybody wants to play games, Mr. Speaker, anybody can play games. And many of us are good at this. And we have not come to this level of leadership because anybody has been pushing us. We have come to this level of leadership because of commitment, because of dedication. And Mr. Speaker, I represent people. Nobody can belittle me in this house. Nobody. And nobody has a right, Mr. Speaker, to play games behind my back. Nobody. Let them be frontal, and we will fight mundu kumundu.
Order, Senator.
It's as simple as that, Mr. Speaker.
Order, Senator. Okay.
Mr. Speaker, I take great exception to the conduct of my deputy and whoever chaired this meeting. Because, Mr. Speaker, I've been receiving phone calls, SMSs, threats, and so on and so forth. Mr. Speaker, I delivered a resounding vote to the leader of ODM. And this cannot be wished away. These games, Mr. Speaker, are totally unhelpful, and I want to repeat as I end. If anybody wants a divorce, it will be noisy, it will be messy, it will be unhelpful, and it will have casualties, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Olekina.